Hello.
Hello, Mr. Biggs.
Yes.
Yes, that's you, sir. Good, man. How you doing?
I'm good.
Does everything sound okay to you right now?
Yeah, I can hear you well. Everything sounds good.
All right, awesome. I hope the recording comes out okay. To my listeners, Mr. Biggs has been listening to my recordings and giving me some constructive criticisms about how we could be doing this better, and I agree with everything he suggested. In time, I hope we get there, and he's offered a hand, so hopefully in time he will help me as well.
Yeah, we will get there.
With that, I want to jump into some questions with you, buddy. The first one I want to ask you, kind of a fun one. When you tie your shoes, do you do like the bow, or do you do the wraparound?
So I just slip my shoes on. I don't even bother tying them.
I wear loafers.
Yeah, I wear loafers, yeah.
That's a good answer. All right. What was the last song that you actually listened to before you and I spoke?
Last song. You know what? At work today, I put on an old CD, and the last song I can remember was Crisscross. You know?
What, like Jump?
Yep. It was one of those old CDs that had a bunch of old songs on it. What else was on there? There was Crisscross. There was Insane in the Brain.
Holy shit! Yeah, you're throwing it back.
Probably back. Yeah.
You know what? When I think of Cypress Hill, I always think of that old Simpsons episode. You remember where somebody ordered the symphony orchestra, possibly well high. Cypress Hill looking in your direction.
Yeah, I do remember. Yeah, that was hilarious. Yeah.
So anytime, I actually they were at Rockfest. I don't know, in 2012 or 13, and I got to see them.
Still around. I didn't know they were still around.
You know what? They were doing the Prophets of Rage thing. So that was, as far as I know, it was a couple of the guys from Cypress Hill as well as the guys from Rage Against the Machine and someone else came together. Everyone but Zach.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Yeah. I do remember that now. Yeah.
But yeah, and it was good. Dude, they can still rock a crowd, man. Like, the thing I got to say about this Rockfest, it's Amnesia, Montebello Rockfest, happens every year in Quebec. As much as it's a thrash metal rock festival, every year they give ode to one hip hop. Last year it was the Wu-Tang Clan, the year before Ice Cube, and the year before that was Snoop Dogg, and then obviously the Cypress Hill thing. They've had Insane Clown Posse. There's always a bit of... What's that? Sorry?
Yes, it really is. That's interesting, yeah.
It is, and you know what's really interesting to me is to see the crowd that is this thrash metal crowd that turns that off for the moment that classic hip hop artist hits the stage, and they can sing along to every word of their music. You know what I mean?
And they all turn gangster then.
Yeah, it's a white crowd of gangsters. Okay. Once again, I want to say thank you. I know I gotta confess, Biggs, I don't know much about you. I could tell that you're a member of Elevation. Or are you the creator of Elevation?
Sound Elevation, yeah. It was co-creator, yeah. What was part of the group was me, Courtney, my girlfriend, Mr. Pickles, who's Mark, and Luffy Laura.
Okay.
Laura McKay. And we started Sound Evolution. We were part of another crew earlier. It was Sound for Them, and things fell out, and we moved on. And the four of us started our own little crew, yeah.
Okay. And sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we got together, I guess, 8 years ago now, 2013-ish. Then we started, so we threw a couple parties, and then we brought Brock out, and at the time his girlfriend Jenny in. Been along together. And we brought them in, and we started throwing some bigger parties, and then, they ended up leaving to go do their own thing, Jenny and Brock out. And the four of us stayed on and continued doing what we were doing.
Okay, and you know what? Excuse me, I think I might be getting ahead of myself. I will lead back to Elevation. I want to take us back for a moment.
Yeah, sure.
Can you tell me about your first rave experience, what it was? What do you remember?
Boy. My first rave experience. This is way back in '95. I remember I was 15 years old, and I was just fresh into high school, all that, and a bunch of my buddies we all got together, and they were talking about going downtown to this rave, and I've never even heard of one before. And they were like, just come along, you'll enjoy it, you'll love it, right? So I went, not knowing anything about it. It was a Dose party. I don't remember the name of it though. The Dose was a big company. They were throwing a lot of parties. I remember being at the International Center, and I just remember walking into the party with music I've never really even heard before, and this whole new experience that I walked into. And it was, it completely blew my mind, right? Along with some other things too, right? And that's really, from there then on out, I started, that's where I started out.
Okay.
Yeah, 95, so it was a long time ago. What year? Yeah, 2018. Yeah, so 23 years ago.
Yeah, no, you're talking as one of the pioneers from the scene. Like, I obviously wasn't around then, but I think anyone I've talked to from that era, I'm curious about the sound and how you, I guess, elevated towards drum and bass. Like, what was it when you first heard jungle, and what made you like that?
Well, the thing was, I started doing the party, 15 years old. I was still living on the dad's house, right? And it was sort of, we had a set up sleeping at, my buddy's place. He would say sleeping at my house that night, right? We both would go out and go downtown, right? And it was, I did for about 6 months or so. It was just, once a month or something like that, just when I had some money to go out and do the thing, right? And just party. And I actually remember going to one of my parties, and I walked into this room, and before it was all techno and I guess kind of house or whatever it was. That's what I was used to, or at least that's what I remember, right? It all kind of sounded the same to me, right? It was just a blur of a night for me, right? But I remember walking into this one room at one party. I don't particularly remember what party it was, and it was the first time I ever heard jungle. And because I used to listen to a lot of hip hop, so I was really intrigued. I was like, what is this sound, right? And I ended up staying in there all night long, and I found out later on it was drum and bass, which turned me on to the jungle scene after that.
Do you think that, sorry to cut you off quick, Biggs, do you think that there is, because I find that jungle does attract a lot of hip hop listeners, and I don't think it has anything to do with the MCs.
Yeah, it does. That's how I got attracted to it, right? Because I listened to a lot of hip hop.
So it was the MCs for you?
It was the MC, it was the music, it was a scattered beat. It wasn't the regular 4/4, thud, thud, thud. It was just, something that I was more, I guess, recognized, right? And the energy of it, I love the energy. That was the other thing, too.
Oh, shit.
And it was just a completely different style of music that I'd never heard before. Because it's basically, jungle is, or drum bass, whatever you want to call it, is twice as fast as hip-hop, right? It's 2 times hip-hop.
Exactly, and that's what I was going to ask. Do you think there's a correlation between the fact that it is an actual double time, so it's easy for the hip hop listener to, they don't have to change the bob of their head much.
For sure. I guess that's what attracted a lot of people to drum and bass back in the scene back in the day.
I don't know if it's a conscious thing. I think it's somewhat because like the movement of the head. I was talking to someone previously about this when it comes to. As an MC, identifying a song, what you're listening to by understanding the BPMs and then what rhymes will work with this music, then you can know if you're listening to a dubstep song versus a drum and bass song, and it's easy just by listening to the timing like that. But that's a very conscious thing, and what you do when you slow down, it really does become much more funky and fun than the rawness of. Do you get what I mean?
Break it up more. Yeah, you break it up more, and you kind of bounce on the words, right?
Exactly, and I find that even when you watch the dancing, you watch hip hop or drum and bass dancing, those people are attacking the dance floor. Like.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's there's patterns to it, steps to it. I guess it's you want to hit the beat or something like that. I'm not much of a dancer myself.
Oh come on, Biggs, I've seen you when like nobody's looking.
Maybe back in the day when I was younger, right? So hyped up on the energy of the rave, I guess, right? Whatever you want to call it, right?
Whatever we want to call the energy of the rave. You know what? If you want, we could talk about something like that for a minute. You know what? I myself am someone who, when I got into raves at the first bit, it wasn't about the music. I've talked to a lot of artists, and I can appreciate, and it's enlightening for me that they really went in there and they just got addicted to music. They got addicted to sound. I got addicted to getting high and being around the more.
So you're saying they got high off the sound and the energy of the music, right?
Totally. these people describe, like, people like, I'm not throwing him under the bus. Marcus Visionary, I can tell you, is a guy who just 100% was in love with the music. And
oh yeah, Marcus is for as long as I can remember, he's been in a big name in the drum bass scene from way back when I started, right? Probably even before I started, right?
Dude, he brought us the drum and bass. Well, like guys like him and Dr. No, and I'm sure others, Medicine Muffin, like these are the guys that there wasn't a scene before them. So, you know.
There wasn't. I hold a lot of respect for him.
Well, and that's what I mean.
Toronto, right?
As much as I myself, and I'm sure you or others you know, can correlate our introduction into this scene as tainted, let's say, with substance or recreational play. You know what I mean? We've grown out of it, and we love the music, and we do a lot for it. But
well, I agree with you there, because that's what, you know, when I go back to say I was in high school with a bunch of buddies, they're like, you know, let's go to this party and we'll get high, and that's what brought me to the parties.
Right.
And why I'm still in the parties is because I fell in love with the scene and fell in love with the music. You know, where these friends kind of died off, right? They stopped going, you know, because it was all about the drugs for them, right?
Yeah, I know what you mean on a profound level, man. That's when, to be honest, for a part of me, when I went through what I went through for my recovery and getting my life cleaned up and stuff, one of the things I did was I said goodbye to the jungle. I said, you know, that's a part of my old life. I'm going to go back to pursuing my career and all this. And after about 2.5 years or so, I realized that I was feeling a sense of abstinence. Like I needed to get back because it's a part of who I am. You know, that shit removed, I still love that.
I could totally relate to that because, like I said, for me, my main reason before it turned into a job for me, right? You know, the party scene turned into a job for me. Where that's where I was making the majority of my money. I still love the scene, I still love the music, but it was a job, right? And with a job like that, things happen, and you know, there's only so long you can count your blessings, right? The longer you stay in a job like that, the longer, you know, the more likely you're going to get basically caught, right? And the inevitable happened to me, and I, you know, went away, right?
Yeah.
And I remember thinking all those times, I was like, you know what, when I come back, I'm just going to leave that behind me, right? And move on with my life. But like you said, I just couldn't. I felt a void of something, right? And it was the music, it was the scene. That's what I loved. You know, there was a time where I went for 3 years without listening to drum and bass because I was trying to get myself away from it, right? And it was calling me back. I couldn't leave. So when everything was all done and over with, I was better on moving on with my life. I came back.
And we're glad to have you back.
Yeah, for the love of the music and for the love of the scene, right?
Yep. The first time I saw you back, I guess a little background on our relationship. I think I first met Biggs at a WEMF over 10 years ago, and I just would always see Biggs at parties. And I know Biggs' girlfriend from many years ago, so there was always a sense for introduction amongst us all. And yeah, and then obviously Biggs went through some times, I went through some times, and there was a long time we didn't see each other. And then I saw him again, I believe, at Field of Dreams, which Villain puts on. And it was great to see you.
It's great little thing you put on. I love it. You know, yearly thing. I hope it continues.
I do too. I don't know about after what happened last year. I hope. I hope.
We'll keep that with the ones that were there last year. Right?
Yes. What happens at Field of Dreams stays at Field of Dreams, folks. And if you want to be a part of it, you better go. Okay. With that, let's jump back to. Is it sound elevation? Elevation of sound?
It's sound elevation.
Sound elevation.
I started when I came back. Now, before things happened to me, I got caught, got arrested and all that. I had started another company. It was WDII, and the symbol, I guess our logo looked like the Wii symbol from Nintendo.
Okay.
Which WDII stands for What Day Is It? It was just a stupid little concept we came up with, and it stuck, right? It's like, what day is the race? What day is this guy coming? It was me at the time, my ex-girlfriend at the time, and a friend of mine, Sasha, who was part of Rhino Syndicate, the original DJ Ruckus.
Oh, I remember Sasha. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we did that, and we threw some successful parties. Our first party, we had booked. It was more of a rave. It was one room jungle, one room rave. It was up on St. Clair and Lansdowne. We had booked DJ Boogie, who was a Booty House DJ.
I remember DJ Booty.
Yeah, yeah. We had him coming in, but he had problems at the border. I guess, he was doing the same thing I was doing, obviously. But anyway, he had problems at the border and he couldn't get across. It's just he was supposed to come out a couple days earlier. So we were stuck without a headlining DJ. And we scrambled last minute and we actually managed to pull DJ Assault out. We brought in DJ Assault. And we threw a great party, and it was also the first time we brought back Sniper and Mystical. And we had the jungle room with Sniper and Mystical, and then the main headliner was DJ Assault. And the party actually was very successful, and then we continued from there. We threw a bunch more parties. We brought, and one of our next ones was Sniper, Mystical, back-to-back Mystical, back-to-back Slip Inside. And it was, the first time in years that they'd been out, because they sort of disappeared from the scene early 2000.
Did you have both Slip and Slide, or did you just have Tage?
Both Slip and Slide, the Mystical and Sniper. We four of them went back to back to back to back. If that can make sense.
Well, no, and I get what you mean, but that's important because everyone who's in the scene knows if you book Slip and Slide, you get Slide.
No, we had both of them come out, and the two of them, which is actually where Tage started coming back out again. This was after that party. So yeah, we booked them all. We had, like I said, it was a huge snowstorm that night. It was a place on College. The bars are no longer there, and the place was rammed because we actually did ladies free. It was a black and pink flyer.
That is very prejudiced of you, as a cisgender male.
You know what? This is a time of where that was allowed, right?
You know what? I got in shit, dude, for doing a ladies. What was it? I got ladies a certain price before 10 or something, and I got called out by a bylaw officer that came to the event.
You're actually not allowed to do that.
I didn't know, man. I didn't know. She gave me a warning. She didn't ticket me, but she told me you can't do that. I couldn't do. What was the other one? Like charging, because I was also charging a higher price for all ages than for 19 plus.
Yeah, you can't do that either.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Dude, I was breaking both those rules in one night.
Things have changed a lot. But I think this is about 2006 or so that we did these parties. And so, the bylaws weren't there yet, but there was a massive snowstorm. And, I remember sitting down brainstorming before this event going, you know what? In the early 2000s, every jungle party you went to was just a sausage fest. It was just guys, right? And, we went under the impression that you bring girls, guys will follow. You pack a place full of girls and guys will just walk in just because there's girls in there, really, right? So we put ladies free and we charge guys $20. So we figured, $10 a piece. Every guy will pay for every check, basically, right?
Yeah, it's logical promotion, man. So, but like, I don't want to get carried away. And you said we started with WDII. That's where we began with the Lansdowne St. Clair Jam. We're now talking about your second
Sound
jam.
Elevation.
When did WDII, I guess, become Sound Elevation?
Well, it's sort of, they were two separate companies, kind of, with two separate different people.
Okay.
Why WDII stopped is because of what happened to me, when I went away.
Understood.
I was doing a lot of parties there was also Black and Big Pop. We were doing parties there as well. And it was 2008 when, everything stopped for me. So that's when WDII stopped.
I remember that, man. I just want to stop. In 2008, 2009, a lot of things happened in our scene when it comes to people like yourself and a big circle of our friends.
Yeah, it is a big thing that went down. A lot of people, yeah.
Yeah, but what I got to say is when I look at all of us, now, I wasn't affected the way you and a few of our other friends were.
No. Yeah.
But everybody's doing very well.
Yeah.
That I know of.
Yeah.
When I don't want to name names because I don't know if they want their business out there, but I will say that a few of them were even at Field of Dreams a couple of years ago.
Well, we only get older, right? Older and hopefully smarter.
And hopefully smarter, and we're still here. We lost 3 junglists last year that were friends of mine.
Yes,
so,
so
but
sad,
it is.
But,
But anyways, okay, so I want to talk more about Sound Elevation. So 2008 that happens. You come back out. You're for the first.
Before that too. Sorry,
Go ahead.
Jump back a bit too. I got together with Christian Unabomber at the time. If you You remember him?
I used to throw parties with Unabomber, yep.
Okay, so yeah, you know him well. And me and him started, I guess, the free rave movement then. And we were throwing, the first free rave we threw was actually under the bridge at DVP and Gardner.
I remember that. You threw that party?
And,
that,
yes, me and Christian.
That was so cool. Together. I remember that.
And there was literally, I don't know, we counted up to about 600-700 people there.
I was one of them.
Because I remember, so we, what was it? It was Labor of Love was just down the street at the government. And they were charging like $60 or $70 to get in or something stupid like that. And we were like, we'll throw a free party just down the street in the park or just in a field, right? And there's a property down there that I don't know what the guy does. I think he's some sort of landscaper. We sort of just set up on his property and threw a huge party. It was under the giant billboard where the Gardner meets the DVP. Or DVP meets the Gardner, wherever it is.
No, I know exactly. I remember.
We were throwing free raves for a while. We did them for a while. You know, some break-in parties, I guess you want to call them, the warehouses and stuff like that.
That's actually one thing. Sorry to cut you off. It's one thing I forgot about you. This is something that's, I guess, infamous about Biggs. Is he was always a guy with a generator and a set of turntables, and would set up and play anywhere. And that's something I should have.
Many of them, so we set up some renegade stages, yes.
I remember even them shutting you down, and it's like you pulled a spare generator out of your ass or something, and you set up again as soon as they left. You're like, yeah, don't worry, well, you took the generator, we can't play. And as soon as they drove away in their little golf cart and shit, you're like, all right, hook this up, and then we got everything going again. But
yeah, I always had a backup, you know, they ain't gonna shut us down.
But sorry, go on. We were at your party off the DVP in Gardner.
Yeah, we threw a bunch of more free raves after that, and it was actually, we had one set up for Halloween Day too. It was actually not far from where I'm at now in Scarborough. It's up on Brimley Road in Lawrence. There was a little bowling alley that was not being used anymore. And it was the Halloween party. It was supposed to be a big one, and that was actually the day that, you know, everything happened to me, right? So I never ended up making that party. And that's kind of where, you know, everything turned around for me, right?
Well, I guess that would be the beginning. I
did my time, and then I came back, right?
Yeah, and do you know if the party was a success? Did it go off?
No, it flopped.
It flopped, eh?
Because I was really the other half of the party. Because what happened is, we went out to go check the venue that night. We got home early in the morning. I think it was like 5 or something. I fell asleep, and I got a rude awakening, and, well, that was in my story. And no one had heard from me. They didn't know what, you know, I was supposed to bring the other half of the party, so. You know, I remember Christian telling me that he was running around with just, you know, not knowing what the hell was going on, and everyone was piling into this place, and, you know, nothing was organized. You know, it just, yeah, it flopped big time.
If I want to talk about Christian first, because we've mentioned his name a few times now. Unabomber, I don't know him all too well. The way I know him is I used to throw parties. At times I'd need someone to take over the second room, and Christian was very good at other parties. He knew trance and house and breaks. And
you know what, Christian, he started off back in the day. He used to throw, I don't remember the name of his company now. But it was Underground.
Nightmare. Was it Nightmare?
Nightmare, that's what it was. Why couldn't I remember that name? But Nightmare, it was very successful parties, right? It was all like the hardcore scene and, like, you know, the hard techno, and very successful parties.
He was. He had a cult following, and that's what. Honestly, I don't want to say I used him for. He used me as much as I used him, but I utilized him. Let's say. When you had a second room to fill, it was like, hey, Christian, I need to fill a second room. Can you throw a party in there? And he always would, and he'd always fill it up. So he was. I don't know where he's at today. Like last I knew, the guy had a bunch of kids.
He had a kid, and he's doing well for himself now. He's moved on, and he's grown up now. Right? You know?
Good.
He's looking after his daughter and doing well.
Does he only have one kid?
Yes, he does, yeah.
Oh, okay.
As far as I know.
Okay. Then, well, and I wish him the best. If he's out there and hears this by chance, Christian, all the best to you, man. You did a lot for the scene, and you're talking about Nightmare. It was a cult. But sorry, go.
It was Nightmare, yeah, because, you know, like I said, the raves were good 2000, early, or 90s, early 2000. And then the scene died off because of all, if anyone knows the history of Toronto raves, you can look it up on, I guess, YouTube and all that. You know, we're not going to go into that. I guess it'll explain all the history of what happened and why the rave sort of died off. It was, you know, in a way it was a good thing, and in a way it was a bad thing, right?
Well, one thing I talked about to somebody, it was about iDance. It was a chance for us as Raven.
iDance was amazing. iDance was, yeah.
Here's the thing. It was amazing. It was a great opportunity. It was a pinnacle for our scene, but it was also an enlightening point where people from the real world got a confirmation that nothing but drugs and, you know, raver kids were going on in those things.
Yes and no, because it was a whole, let's unify, and because all these bills were getting passed, it's the Rave Act 2000. If anyone wants to look it up, right?
Right.
You can actually look it up. It's called the Rave Act 2000. It's retarded, right? But, you know, it's because, like I said, it was a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. A bad thing, obviously, is, you know, shut us down. But a good thing because the scene kind of just blew up too big, and it got too big for itself. And it's everything like that with drugs involved and, you know, shady promoters and shady bars and, you know, people feeling like just shit was not going well. And something needed to happen, and, well, I guess it went to the point where they shut us down completely. And that's when the scene sort of died off for a while. But, like, going back to what I was saying about Christian, is he's the one that kept it alive. He's the one that kept it alive during the 2000s. You know, he kept the kids coming. He kept the parties going as well as he could, right?
He definitely kept the raves. I wouldn't say that he necessarily had the junglists coming.
Well, no, he was not a jungle fan, but, you know, that was where we didn't butted heads a lot, but, you know, he did appreciate the scene, right?
He did, and this video isn't about just jungle, it's about our whole rave culture, and that's why...
what it was. I was big in the raves. Like, a lot of people don't know is I spent a lot of time in the break scene, too, back in the day.
You were a break dancer, were you not?
I was not a great dancer. Like I said, I wasn't much of a dancer. I don't dance. But I was big in the break scene. Like, you know, we're a scene that's no longer around. No music genre that's very rarely played anymore, or even noticed, right? But yeah, I was big in that scene, and, you know, I listened to all different types of music. But jungle was my #1 favorite. But yeah, that's where me and Christian butted heads, and he just didn't care for the jungle music and care for the jungle people, right? But he respected it as a part of the scene still, right?
Yeah. And you're hitting the nail on the nose. I don't think he liked the people or the music at the end of the day. But he wasn't a bad guy, man. Good guy.
No.
Okay, so let's stay on elevation of sound because I think that's what we're leading into. So, one more time, who are the 4 people that are in it?
Yeah, I did my time. I came back mid-2012-ish, and I think it was late 2012, early 2013. I got involved with Sound for Them, which didn't last too long. We butted heads with the owner. If anyone knows those stories, they know the stories. I'm not going to start, you know, talking the stories, but anyway. Mark and Laura were part of Sound for Them, as well as I was, and my girlfriend Courtney, and the 4 of us branched off from Sound for Them and started Sound Elevation. And that's where we bring it back to our, I guess, 2015, where I said we started. We started throwing a bunch of little parties here and there, and then we actually did a timeless. We started off by doing every Sunday nights on the long weekends. And it was all jungle, and we brought in, you know, we were packing timeless. And then we were like, okay, we have something, and we moved on from there. And we started working with, I guess, the old owner of Big Bob.
Dominic.
Who owns, yes, Dominic.
Where does he own now?
He owns, I can't think of the name of the place. It's in the West End right now.
Can I just say that guy's a very good man?
Oh, he's a very good man.
He is a great person.
You know, when you work with him, he worked with you. He was very understanding. You know. You
know what he did for me? I'm gonna say this out loud. I threw a party at the Big Bop, and I had rented out the entire place, the Cathedral, the Big Bop, the Reverb, Holy Joe's. I remember
this party very well, actually.
Okay, so I lost a lot of money on that party, and I think Dominic could see that, you know, I was at the top, you know, it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. My door wasn't making it. I still owed him like $6,000. And he came over to me and he said, don't worry about what you owe me. And he gave me $1,000 back. So he actually, I shorted him $7,000 that night. You know, and
he was very good. He was very good that way. He understood exactly how the scene worked and how the parties worked.
He was so understanding, man.
And he wanted you to come back and keep trying again, right?
Well, but here's the thing, Biggs. I would say, if you remember, I was what, like a month later, they shut the whole place down? You know what I mean? Like,
well, that, it was a little longer after that, maybe, but yeah.
It wasn't much, man. Because I get that line of thinking, oh, he was just doing it because he wanted to do more work with me, but then he just disappeared. And I was like, yo, he's an awesome guy. What happened? But now you're saying he actually owns something in the West End. I got to look into this.
It's called, the Rock Pile there. Just came to mind.
He owns the Rock Pile?
Yes.
Oh, man. That's by where I live.
He opened up one in the East End, too. The Rock Pile East and the Rock Pile West.
That's, you know what? People love that here. People love the Rock Pile.
The East was the old, I think it was called Rumors in Scarborough. Right beside the strip club on Brimley and Eglinton.
Caddies?
Yes, right behind Caddies, yes.
That has got to be the, God's blind spot of strip clubs.
And you know what? The sound system in there was amazing. The club was amazing. It was just, the spot was hard to draw people out to, right? You know?
Dude, it was never hard to get us out there. Caddies is what you want.
It was kind of funny, actually, because we you just opened the club and I was working with him, so he's like, yeah, let's throw some parties in Scarborough. We're like, cool. You know, and the first couple parties we did were great. We did all ages parties, which is kind of weird because everyone's outside smoking. You see all the old guys walking into Caddies. They're like, hey, girl, but she's underage. You know, they turn around and walk right back inside, right? Yeah.
You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, Big, sorry to cut you off again, but I remember you at my party. I tried to kick you out of my party.
I remember very well.
Yes, it's coming back to my fucking head. My memory's kicking in, and now that might have been actually the first time you and I met. That might have been actually it.
I think it was. You were sitting in your VIP section. I sort of just walked in. I was like, yeah, sure.
And I tried to kick you out, and you wouldn't leave. And then somebody told me who you were, and I was like, oh, okay, he can stay, I guess. But yeah, you were friends with the owner of the club, and obviously a bunch of people that were
the bouncers and everything. Yeah.
Exactly. Everyone I would have tried to use to tell you to leave. It's like, nah, dude, that guy.
I think you remember going to get the bouncer, and he came up, and I was sitting there. He's like, "Who's got the problem?" And he pointed to me. He's like, "Oh, Biggs." Yeah, right. Turned around and walked away.
There you go. So that was my first introduction to DJ Biggs. Was I can't kick him out of my own VIP section.
And I actually sat there and looked at you and started laughing. I said, well, I knew it was coming, right? But anyway.
Oh, man. I probably was not in the right frame of mind. Yes, great times.
But no, I remember that we started talking there, and from there on, you know.
Well, and I think you have to respect the fact that, because as much as I don't remember everything that was said between us, I know the type of person I am, and I'm a very opinionated, and you see what you see is what you get, and I'm sure you've always
very much similar.
Exactly. So that's been something I think we both respect in each other.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so we've talked about that. The sound elevation, aside from the promotion aspect of things, you're a DJ. Do you produce?
Yeah, I've dabbled a bit in the producing. Still in, I guess, my early ages of it. You know, I got a couple things that I'm happy with, but nothing I'm willing to put out yet. You know, I'm still learning. But I'm very good with audio production, and I know what I'm doing with that, yeah.
What do you use?
I guess I'm just more of a perfectionist. I sit there and it's not good enough, right?
That's the problem with artists. I was saying that to somebody earlier, is that sometimes us as your promoters have to pull your shit away from you because you guys are just so analytical.
Yeah, I'm just like, it's not good enough. I don't want anyone to hear it. I'm just like, yeah, it's not what I want it to be, you know. But everyone's like, yeah, this is amazing, right? And I'm just, no, it's not.
What do you use to make your music when you do music?
I use Logic and Machine.
And Machine?
Yeah, Machine. I use Machine, Native Instruments Machine.
I'm not familiar with it. But that...
it's actually a drum pad. It's meant for, you can do it use for live pro, like live PAs and everything, as well as producing. And basically, I just make my patterns on there, and it works with Logic, and I transfer them back and forth.
I know what you mean. I can get a visual. I'll
show you one day. It's very easy, and it's, you know, it's amazing. Like, I basically use it to make all my beats.
Awesome.
And then on Logic, I just sequence everything, and that's where I add all my effects and VSTs and all that.
When it comes to the sound that you do, like honestly, when I hear DJ Biggs, you're one of the only guys I've ever watched, I think, spin for 10 straight hours. What is the sound that you say you're most interested in? Like, is it jump up? Is it reggae? What is it?
Okay, well, when you talk about jungle, I always fell in love with the jump up. It was even back in the day when jump up first came out, and it was still jump up. I guess that's what I fell in love with. And I guess goes along with the jump up is the reggae jungle. I appreciate the liquid jungle, but I'm not. Some of it bothers me. But I appreciate that. I like the melodies, and I think it mixes well with jump up. A lot of people hate me for that, but the dark style, like I said, I like some of it, but I like the jump up. It's the energy. That's what I love about it, right? Remember, you listen to the tune and it makes me think I'm 16 again, right?
Okay.
But yeah, that's what I like. But jump up is mostly my thing, but I'll mix it all together. Yeah.
I like that I named the two that you like the most. I was honestly just grabbing two at random. And it's like, yeah, those are the two.
Well, that's what everyone thinks. They hear me DJ and they're like, oh, it's just jump up, and I'll mix everything together. I'll mix towards with the crowd, but you always hear at least one jump up to it.
That's awesome. I always love listening to DJ Biggs. I gotta say, anytime I see that you're up on the tables, it's always fun.
Lately, I can get into a lot of house music though, and I'm playing. I guess you get older and you slow down the BPM, right? But I've been playing a lot of house. I was doing a lot of after hours.
I find house is also, when you talk about age, it's easier to listen to. Like, have you ever seen the Key and Peele skit?
BPM down. You don't have to move as fast. You don't have to.
You're not wagging your head and mashing on the dance floor. But have you seen? There's Key and Peele, the sketch comics. They used to be on Mad TV.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, they did a skit on dubstep. Have you ever seen it?
No, I haven't.
Oh, if you get a chance, watch it. But basically, it's the guys, they put on dubstep and they basically start ripping their nails and teeth out. Like as soon as the music comes on, they just like start twitching out and like ripping their fucking shit off. It's like,
you know what? I'm definitely gonna have to look this up because that's the one style I say. I appreciate all styles. I like them all, but dubstep. That's the one thing I could never get into. I call it basically what I call it K-target jungle.
I used to say drum and bass for people on the small bus.
Yeah.
And
it just makes me want to smash my head off the wall, this kind of thing, right? But to each their own.
You know what I found as a lyricist, I will say, is what I found fun about dubstep is that it's so I don't know if people who don't know music will understand what I mean when I say this, but you can get lost in that structure. You can't get.
Yeah, you could. Definitely.
You can, and you cannot get lost in jungle. Like jungle will always bring you back to its time. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2.
Yeah, jungle's strictly patterned. Patterned music. Yeah.
You get me, right?
Sticks to the pattern, and you have to stick to that pattern. Yeah.
Exactly. Whereas with dubstep, I was like, wow, man, I can play. And I did, and I do still. Like if I throw on a dubstep song, and start painting or something, it's amazing how many rhythms are inside there that you can almost like what you could do like a whistle crew in a drum and bass party where you hear all those
I wanted to make people eat their whistles every time. Anyway, go on.
But that's what it's like, and that's what goes on in my head, Biggs. I know you wouldn't like.
The one thing I can say about dubstep is actually starting to see is I can still never see it as a party type music, even though some people really go at it, at parties. I see it more as a chill, like you said, just chilling. I guess you want to paint to it, paint to it. It's like more of a chill atmosphere kind of music.
Exactly. That's honestly, buddy. When I go to I don't relate to certain people. When I go to parties and I hear certain songs and people are mashing out on the dance floor, in my head, I love to write lyrics and stuff, and that's why I like it. But I'm like, it's too loud and I can't hear. So I'll ask other people, I'm like, why are you here? Why do you like listening to this? And they're like, it's the sound. And I'm like, but it sucks. Like, you can barely hear it. And that's, different people listen for different reasons, and I am not listening for the same reason I think as your average junglist is.
No, so everyone says to me, they're like, well, just jump up jungle. It's the same sounds. I'm like, yeah, but it's slowed down and it doesn't make sense.
It's slowed down and doesn't make sense. That's not fair, man. But okay, let's jump into my final question. By the way, I always ask artists like DJ Biggs here to talk for 15 to 20 minutes. We're going on over 40, so I really appreciate you taking the time, buddy.
Yeah, no problem.
This is the last question I've got for you, and I really want you to think hard.
Oh boy.
If you could take 5 items to encapsulate our rave culture and put them in a vault, what would those 5 items be?
Our rave culture? Now and then?
You can do a now and then. You can do a maybe when. You know, like as long as as long as it has something to do with our rave or jungle drum and bass community.
Well, obviously, I guess the first thing would be turntables or CDJs, mixer, right? Some sort of equipment to play with.
Can we get a microphone in there? I've said it before. Like, you DJs never think of us.
Well, I guess we can put a microphone in there.
Thank you. All right.
I recall one time of actually pulling the mic on you, but anyway. And we'll get back to this question. Some sort of equipment. Obviously, the music, I guess, it goes along with it. What else? Something camouflage, some sort of camo gear or something.
Is that, hold on, the camo thing's interesting to me because I remember a lot of people used to use those camo nets with the leaves. Even. Oh
yeah.
You remember those?
I actually had one. It was I actually had one for parties. It was actually a tent, one from the military that was used to cover tents.
There you go.
Tanks.
Okay. So how are you talking, like one of those, or are you talking like a pair of camo jeans or something?
Oh, anything camo. It could be anything.
Okay.
I don't understand how those got associated with jungle, but anyway, it is now, and that's how it is. What are we at, 2? Oh, you're making me drag this out even longer.
You know what? I'll give you ideas. Like other people put things like tapes and flyers. One guy actually put the whole government complex in.
The government? No, that's interesting, yeah.
You know what I mean? You can put anything, dude. Anything that you think of when you think of drum and bass that you're like, you know what? In 100 years, I want people to remember that this was drum and bass. Nobody's thrown Vivid MC in. I'm really upset about that. I'm like, wow.
Make me draw a blank. The records, I guess, the music is the biggest thing. Actually, if you go to drum and bass to someone, the best way to do it is here, listen to this. It's like, what was the scene? Fuck. I don't know. That's a really tough question. I'd say some sort of alcohol or some sort of substance. That's how it goes along with it, right?
That's an interesting thing. You're the first person to put that in.
Alcohol nowadays, right?
Okay.
More alcohol nowadays.
Okay. It's true. This is the thing. I will say that what you just said is definitely 100% true. You do not go to a party or any club at this day and age that doesn't have alcohol at the bar and some guy walking around the club with either MDMA or cocaine. So say
it is what it is, right?
It is what it is. I'm not into these things, but I was, and to lack them is just to be in denial. That's not true. This is a part of it. So
to go off on something else, there was a time where you said jungle party and club promoters like, fuck that.
It still is.
They're like, oh yeah, drinkers, big money, and they'll take it in anytime now.
I get it, but there's still the tabooness, not just around the jungle scene, but any type of rave music. When they hear, Well,
I no longer say rave when I'm trying to talk to a club, right? I no longer say jungle. I just say event.
You know that's where the drum and bass thing from. I don't know if you listened to my interview with Marcus, but we talked about that, and apparently that's where the drum and bass name came from. Was that jungle became so taboo?
Yeah, but it's now sort of all associated as one now.
It's all. Here's the thing, though. I grew up with the understanding that they were actually different musics. To me, jungle was the more reggae stuff, and then drum and bass was everything else kind of thing. And it was like,
I think it's the same thing.
It is the same thing. It's just two names for the same potato patata kind of thing. And that's what
people have turned into two different genres. This is one, this is the other. I was like, whatever.
It's not though.
It's the same beat. It's the same style. It's the same thing.
It's the same music. And the reason why the name changed was because club owners wouldn't book jungle parties, so they started calling them drum and bass parties. But it was still the same music.
To go back to that, I guess. What are we at, 3 now? 4? I don't know.
You're on 4. You've done 3.
I'm on 4.
You're on 4.
I had some people. I guess the party people.
The ravers. Yeah.
There you go.
I like that. When we talk, what kind of ravers are we putting in there? Are we putting Candy Kids and Junglists in that vault together?
Well, there has to be some sort of Candy Kids. I'm not really saying that there should be, but I'm saying there has to be, right?
You know what's going to happen. Those kids are going to get robbed by the Junglists.
Well, that's
gonna be a
why
horrible.
they're there, kind of, right? You gotta make the junglers think like they're gangsters, right? So. Right?
You know what? I don't know if I've talked to anybody on my show about this yet, but I've definitely talked to people about how Hullabaloo just became an easy target for junglers to go to rob candy kids.
I guess that's another time. You call me for another time, another interview. We'll talk about that.
And I'll tell you, people, not you yourself, but I've people that we talked to today that I saw do bad things back in those days. And actually, to be honest, Hullabaloo got killed by that stabbing, if you remember, at the docks. That was.
Yeah, I actually. That's like I said, another interview for now.
Oh, shit. But anyways, okay. So we've got 4. 5th thing,
and
final
you know
thing.
Let's burn out the white towel. Like, come on now.
Oh, that's an awesome. The white towel that begins white but is red by the end of the night because of your sweater. And
whatever you want, whatever color you want to call it. I'm not much. I see red. Some people see, fusion or whatever, or fuchsia or whatever it's called.
Yeah, some sort of neon.
Yeah, whatever color you want to call it. It's some sort of color. Yeah, it's not white.
No. And it's always like, do I sweat this color? It's like, your pillows when they turn that yellow stain. It's like, what do I sweat?
Yeah. It's a nice shady yellow,
That's a nice shade, it is. But anyways, Biggs, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to chat.
Anytime, man, anytime.
And
I enjoyed myself. It was good. I hope people listen to this and enjoy it.
I hope so too. And stay in touch. And please, you said you're going to help me get this better, and you've said it to the listeners now too. So please stick to your word and stay in touch.
You put me on the spot. But
I am.
I'll keep my word. I see this is going good, and I can see this going better. Right.
Awesome.
Like I said, you got an amazing voice. You conduct yourself well, and you're the build it around you, right?
You're hilarious, buddy. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. You're making my head big. But yes, I will.
I need to do that already, right?
Right, exactly. So I will talk to you soon. All right, sir.
All right, man. Have a good one.
You too, buddy. Take care.
Bye.
There he is, Mr. Biggs. There he is. All right. Thank you so much, sir, for chatting with me. I hope we didn't go off topic too much there. I was getting excited. Some of the things that man brought up made me remember things, and I love that. Isn't remembering such a great psychotic activity of the mind? Somebody said that once in a movie, that to remember is so much more a psychotic activity of the mind than to not forget. Because there's all these memories that we haven't forgotten, but it's not until a wonderful friend like that triggers them that you begin to remember, and all these visuals come in. And anyways, thank you, Biggs, for talking to me. Guys, we've got a few artists lined up this week, and I think I'm going to start doing these as a once-a-week thing. I think bombarding people by doing them every second day. Plus, I don't have enough material to be doing it that quick. So we're going to prolong this, pull it back. It'll also allow me to do my running errands, regular podcast shows in between, and not oversaturate you people with too much of me and my friends. But until next time, as always, thanks for listening. Peace out.